lighten things up a bit. I'm going to ask each of you if you support the governor's water bond bill, and if there's anything in there that you approve of or disapprove of. And I'll start at this end.
Well, you know, I generally do support definitely bonds that are related to clean water and clean energy. And until something is on the ballot and we have it in our hands in terms of how it's written and what it does and who benefits from it and who doesn't benefit for it, I'm not going to be able to tell you yes or no. What I will be able to tell you is that this state can benefit greatly from infrastructure support for clean water. We definitely must be able to utilize the water that we have better. We must be able to have permeable concrete so that we can hang on to the water that we get through rain. We must be able to use recycled water to be able to do some of the large watering that we do in state and in our schools. In schools we do that at Glendale Unified School District. So water conservation is important, and it's difficult to manage with the Northern California and South California because they have the water. And something that's new to me is that there are homes that do not have water meters in Northern California. That's how free they feel in terms of using water, and it's a very different experience for us here in terms of how we use water. And so there needs to be some sort of equity between how we use water and how Northern California, who has the water, is using the water. And so we have to make sure that we address those pieces, and the assembly member from this district has to be able to fight for those kinds of things, because our U.S. senators are from Northern California, or rather are from Northern California, and so we have to be able to fight for the right share of our water.
Okay, Mr. Bauer.
Okay, so the Safe, Clean, and Reliable Drinking Water Supply Act of 2010, which was passed by the legislature and proposed to go on the ballot very soon, I think it's like anything else. It's a compromise. And as a compromise, it has flaws, but I think it's a pretty darn good attempt to get the water conservation and water cleanliness issues before the voters and passed into law. I do have a couple issues with it that I would like to see improved. One of them is the use of recycled water to irrigate things like landscaping in our cities. The city of Irvine has had a recycled water program for years, and it's really a model for the whole country. And this is a Southern California city that had a very conservative government for a long time that was hardly environmental, what we would call environmentalist, but they have a wonderful program in place, and I would have liked to see greater incentives in this bond and greater funding for that type of water use. The second thing that I have that I think is just a small flaw with this, but it's just a philosophical flaw, is that I think in general our use of bonds has skyrocketed improperly in the last several years. Only 3 costs have gone up in the last 20 years in our state. The first one is the amount we spend on the criminal justice system. The second one is the cost of healthcare, and the third one is our debt service. Our debt service has gone up by a factor of 4. So my general concern is that with any bond is that we're passing bonds to get ourselves out of the mess that was caused by homeowners who got too much cheap credit, and by doing so, we're doing the exact same mistake as the state. The third thing I'd like to see is more incentives for farming and more funding to make farming a little bit more equitable. What's the difference between a tomato grown in Imperial Valley and a tomato grown in Santa Barbara County? Well, one of them costs twice as much in terms of water, and that's because the water in those counties is half as much when it comes to being half. It's cheaper in the county where they spend twice as much. So those are the 3 things I would like to see improved in this bond.
I personally haven't had a chance to look into the details of the bond, but I would want to see water conservation not only in farms or regarding farms, but also specifically for communities, for the consumers. We've seen, even here in Glendale, we've seen people, even though we have passed ordinance after ordinance, as long as there is no enforcement of the law, ordinances become just pieces of recommendations, and most people do not follow them. what we need to do is educate the community about the need of conserving water, and I would love to see something in there in the bond to address the issue of educating the communities as well. As I said, at this point, I don't have any specifics. I haven't had the chance to look into the bond to be able to take a position on that.
The danger of them inviting me to moderate this, of course, is that I bring my own agenda to the table. So I do have information about the bond on the table that people can collect and look at later to make up your own minds.